Okie dokie. I think this will be the last one that I cover here. Spawning in the south position as the purple Zerg player, who just won like an hour-long game versus Maru's mech. It is Dark. And in the north position, the red Zerg player, who just defeated Deer. It is Sacsri. We waited about, I'd say, an hour and a half before this game started because Maru decided to play the longest mech games ever. Or at least ever at 7 a.m. So I'm pretty dead, but we're gonna get through this. We're gonna get through this ZVZ. Hopefully. I'm sure Dark will be like, wow, there's a map with more resources on it. Goodness gracious. Yeah. Dark is probably like dead right now. If he can pull this off, I'll be seriously impressed. Sacsri's basically just been chilling and I don't know, probably like making ice cream or something, whatever it is that Korean people do, which is basically any nerds. So probably just, maybe he was watching the games, or he was like watching some sort of like K-pop videos to stay awake. I don't know. I guess it's not really relevant. Hatchery first into gas into spawning pool for Dark. So he's going to get a very, very fast speed, which I like. Hopefully we get some very aggressive play from these guys. And Sacsri with the pool first into hatchery. So the defensive play. Not really aggressive with the 15 pool. But there is that pool for Dark. And let's see what he does. It's really funny to think that there were a lot of people that were like, oh, Nathan, you're going to do Maru versus Deer and it's going to be great. And it's like, no, both Maru and Deer lost. Very surprisingly, I might add. Or at least it was surprising to me. Gas is done for Sacsri, but that Zergling speed upgrade will be starting very soon once this pool completes. The cool thing about going for the hatchery first in the pool, at least for Sacsri, is that he's able to get a pretty good scout off. He can see the gas, he knows, he has an indicator of the pool timing, whereas this queen coming out can make it a bit harder. I mean, he still scouted it anyway because, you know, Polar Night. But it's just, you know, the little things. And, yeah. Let's see. Let's see where these guys go. Baneling Nest is on the way. I really want Dark to just all in the crap out of him. That last game was so absurdly long. Like, unbearably so. But lots of queens actually for Sacsri. It's going up to 4. Few lings on the way. How many lings does Dark make? I'm waiting to see. He got the injects off. Oh, he's building drones. Okay, whatever. Cancels his Baneling Nest, so he's really not gonna attack. Jesus, man. Why? I mean, of all the things to cancel, a Baneling Nest just seems a bit extreme. Where does he go now? Evolution Chamber behind his mineral line. Okay. Roach Warren and an Evil Chamber on the way for Sacsri. So we're gonna see a macro ZVZ here. Because hey, not everything in life can be great. Yeah. These queens are good for defense, I guess. He has transfuses available. Fast burrow for Dark. Ooh, that's kind of kinky. With the lair on the way. The lair well ahead of Sacsri's, actually. Sacsri hasn't even started his lair, and it's about halfway done now for Dark. So he's starting it now. 40 seconds behind. I like this burrow. I'd like to see him do something crazy like just a burrow, like a drop, roach drop all in, or roachinitis. Basically anything outside the standard comfort zone of this game, getting pretty crazy. But let's see now. +1 attacks and for both players. Nothing typical, nothing really unusual. The roach speed will be done a bit faster for Dark. I don't think there's actually much of any tangible economic difference between the two players, at least not at this point. And it's kind of interesting that he has the queens here. He's not spreading creep at all. Just keeping it purely for the energy. For the transfuses potentially later on. Third base is on the way for Dark. And don't actually see anything along the lines of like creep tumors being used to connect the bases. But still alright. Dark doing some good scouting with these Zerglings. Just trying to stay on top of what his opponent is up to. And the Overlord spreads a lot of everyone to basically see everything that's going on. So it looks like it's just going to be Mass Roach versus Mass Roach for a little bit. The one thing I would like to see is the Burrow move, since Dark invested in... Wait, did he cancel... What? He canceled Burrow? Aw, man. Dark's canceled every single... Alright, that's almost depressing. I wanted to see him go for Burrow. That would actually be kind of cool. The Overlords are actually starting to poop creep, so I think Sacsri built up this queen energy to go for a really big roach attack. This is kind of sexy. I love it. The queens can squaddle around the map so much more easily now, thanks to this creep highway being pooped out by the Overlords. And this third base timing, it could actually end up hurting Dark. He hasn't overdroned, so he's good in that regard, but there are the transfuses that are going to be available for Sacsri. And he's coming up. This is going to get awkward. It's 28 roaches versus 21. Important to note that not only does Dark have more, but Sacsri has to rally across the map. The queens are here. This is basically an all-in from Sacsri. He's bringing everything that he's got. There's just more roaches for Dark. And, of course, Dark doesn't have to move his queens all the way across the map because they're at his base. So Sacsri gets... I mean, he got wrecked. And there's a third base done for Dark. So he has now the choice of just going for a counter all-in or just droning up. And he is actually going to choose to drone up. Sacsri still kind of skirting around. No third base started yet. And now he's in a really awkward spot because that creep highway kind of helping him out. I like that the Overlord stopped pooping creeps so that it wouldn't have the highway spread as much, but... Ooh, Dark. He's looking for a place to attack. He wants to see if there's anywhere that he can maybe bring in some pressure. I don't know. +2 attack is on the way for both of these players. Dark is really trying to get this third base saturated. The Zerglings continuing to do the skedaddle. And now a third for Sacsri. But Dark's had his mining for a little bit. He's getting some of them precious resources. He's got actually almost a couple hundred minerals. And Sacsri, I don't know. It's tough. This Overlord, Overseer, whatever, comes in, gets some info. A few Zerglings will run into the main base. That's nice. See if we can get any drone kills. Always nice to get them drone kills. A few more Zerglings manage to squeeze in. The Roach Army's still kind of sitting outside with the third base of Sacsri, as I feel like you definitely want to be able to jump in on top of that. But he needs to be careful. Dark doesn't have too much wiggle room, despite that earlier fight win he had. He's translated into drones for the third base that he's got, but he hasn't actually committed fully anything else. I would love to see him just come up here and snipe this. Yeah, he's just taking some shots. Needs to be really careful. If he takes one bad fight, he could just lose the game, especially since there's a few transfuses available for Sacsri. And Dark he's jockeying for position. Oh, he's actually just going to go for it. No. That'd be a bit bold. A bit bold of him, to say the least. This one Zergling just kind of like, okay. And Dark's just getting position. He's maxed out on roaches. Both players are actually maxed out. Well, I mean, both players, excuse me, that's completely wrong. Both players have a very similar number of roaches, I should say. But Dark has squeezed out just a few more. Sacsri's very close to maxing out. But he has less drones, so the army supply is very close. So he's just going to move in and try to win with sheer numbers. Dark's roach is getting right on top of Sacsri. Both of them have the +2 attack. The overall roach count seems to be favoring Sacsri. Dark, though, with his reinforcements coming in. Oh, no. Dark barely has the lead in the roach count. Those queens are adding in a lot of support, though. A little bit of extra damage really counts. Sacsri defends. He holds. His economy is still worse. He still only has 3 drones mining compared to the, what seem to be 16 or so for Dark. And Dark's just moving up the rest of this army. The roaches are here. It's tough. It's one of those situations where it's really, really risky to try to make these attacks work. But the more that Dark attacks him, the more that Dark can keep his drone lead. If Sacsri doesn't feel comfortable trying to drone up this third base, that makes it very, very difficult for him to actually get in and do anything. But 4th hatchery started up. There's nothing else really crazy going on. It's like the situation for this game, like the only thing that could happen, both players could just mass roaches forever, which is what seems to be the case, at least for now. But it's all about finding a timing window that you can squeeze in the Hydralisk Den without just dying. Like, you want to trickle out a few of the roaches, get maybe like 13, 14 Hydras mixed in, and then your roach army just destroys the opposing force. Sometimes it's infestors as well, but Dark looks like he's getting ready to do another maxed out attack. Can Sacsri defend once again? A big question, and here he comes, moving everything in. Big surround by Sacsri, but as long as all the units are attacking, it doesn't really matter that much. And it looks like Dark is finally breaking the back of Sacsri. He's completely overwhelmed the east forces of this of the red Zerg player. Drones are being pulled versus these roaches, and the supply is so big for Dark. He's beating them. Sacsri's had to pull all the drones. GG. Dark just throws from a little bit of a lead that he had in the early game. He just kind of